We'll get started. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We're very excited to tell you about the Innovation Fund. So starting off, we kind of just want to walk through what the purpose of the Harvard Undergraduate Capital Partners was for starting the Innovation Fund. You know, as we can see and have known from data, the Harvard graduates have done a great job in terms of entrepreneurship, both in the East Coast and West Coast and the United States. But we've seen that there isn't a single university-backed program that's dedicated to our early stage exploratory ideas and helping those early entrepreneurs. And the problem is that that's leaving a lot of promising entrepreneurs behind. For us, our mission is to fill this gap. We want to make sure that we are competing with other great schools like MIT and Stanford and can provide the same resources to these startups. So as you can see, we aim to fill this exploration gap. So you can compare the Innovation Fund to trying to model kind of a replica of MIT Sandbox or Start MIT for the Harvard entrepreneurs. Our idea is that we can hope that through the Innovation Fund, we'll be able to help these early stage startups propel and build up their resources and skill sets to be able to become some of the bigger entrepreneurs and startups that can be kind of maneuvered into this larger Harvard pipeline for entrepreneurs down the line through the iLabs or some of the bigger but later stage opportunities. In terms of how we do it, the Innovation Fund breaks down into three main kind of platforms. The first, of course, being our equity-free grant. So startups are allowed to apply up to 5K in these equity-free grants, and we hope that this will allow startups to be able to take on this grant without having the pressure of having to sell parts of their company so early on or sell parts of their idea. We also hope to make sure that all entrepreneurs have access to mentorship from both industry professionals in VC and other founders who have been through similar experiences. We're very lucky that the HUCP has been able to bring our venture capital partners from the works that we do in due diligence and sourcing with these venture capital partners and bring them into our innovation fund and provide that same mentorship that we have received to other founders who are out there. The last thing we hope to provide, of course, is access to business platform partnerships such as AWS credits. So we're offering up to 10K in AWS credits and 1.5K in business credits as well. In terms of mentorship, one of the kind of ways that we do this is through our Innovation Fund Bootcamp. So this is actually the kind of kickoff series for the Innovation Fund, which is going to be held on October 17th to 19th. And this is going to be required for all of the finalists to attend, but also open up to the semifinalists to attend as well. And so this also breaks down into three main ways that we're trying to help the startups very early on through the Innovation Fund grant process, through our workshops, which are going to be held by our VC partners, and they'll be offering tips on a variety of different topics, things like how to fundraise, how to pitch better, how to de-risk your startup, how to make sure that you have business growth strategies. So these are kind of just interactive workshops where our semifinalists and finalists will have the chance to ask our VC partners directly about specific topics or specific ways to build up their startups. The next offering is our office hours, which at the moment are exclusive to our finalists, but this is a chance for IF winners to work with some of our VC partners one-on-one in a way to pitch their startup right off the bat and receive feedback on the spot. That's also another way for them to, if you have specific questions about, things like fundraising or of the like, you can ask these, well-trained VC partners right there, and instead of having to do it at the workshops. And this office hour opportunity will have a more intimate connection with our partners. The last thing, of course, is our networking, and we hope that once you're part of the Innovation Fund cohort, if you're a finalist, you will get the chance to interact with members of our other Innovation Fund winners. So this is the second time that we've been hosting the Innovation Fund. And so we had a cohort last spring with about 7 winners, and they have done phenomenal work within the 3 months of their grant period to take the grant and build up their products and even get them out to market. We're super excited that Paragree, which is one of our startups, is now going to be part of TechCrunch's Startup Land bootcamp as well. So we can definitely see progress that the Innovation Fund has been able to provide to our entrepreneurs, and we hope to continue that with the next cohorts and allow these cohorts to meet each other and talk about their experiences and learn from each other at the same time. In terms of what we're looking for, where we really are looking for the next wave of disruption. And our criteria for the application kind of breaks down into 3 main sectors. The first being, of course, the idea. We really are looking for ambitious ideas that also kind of improve the lives of real communities in tangible ways. And this is why we've decided to open up the Innovation Fund to both for-profit and nonprofit companies. And we hope that you will be able to show how your product or how your business is really has a vision in terms of how they hope to help communities around us. Another thing is, of course, the team. So we're looking for a diverse group of individuals that really demonstrate that personal investment and technical ability and entrepreneurial vision. While we don't require that, that the founders are working on the initiative full time, we do want to see that you have a lot of buy-in into your startup and are really passionate about moving it to the next level. Like I said, we're also very interested in supporting startups from diverse backgrounds. And one of our winners last year, we were so excited to work with, was an all-female founded startup. And so we are trying to continue that vision for the Innovation Fund in the future as well. The last main criteria is milestones. We really want to see a clear action plan which can identify the specific milestones that you hope to be able to reach within the grant period. Another thing about the milestones is we really want to see how exactly you're using the grant that you're applying for. Like I said, you can apply to up to $5,000 in grant funding, but some startups only really need like $2,000 of that, or the full $5,000. We don't care how much you apply for, but we really want to see you break down how you're going to be using that money within the application. So in the application question that asks about this and asks about what your plan is for the grant money, please break down exactly for us what you hope to do. So if you need $200 for hardware purchases and $500 for litigation or IP fees, and another $300 for like initial marketing, let us know, because the more you tell us how you're going to use the grant, the more likely we are to understand what your action plan is going to be, and can also help you in really showing that you are interested in being part of the grant period for HUCP's Innovation Fund, and there'll be better communication on both ends. In terms of the numbers for the Innovation Fund, as I said, we launched last spring and we had above 100 applicants, and we ended up choosing 7 startups. And so, like I said, we've allocated a couple more than $10,000, and we'll be breaking up that money depending on how much each of the startups are applying for. And we don't really have a set target for how many startups we will be funding. We usually just look at that after we have all of the applications in, and then split up the money amongst them. In terms of our industry partners, we have, like I said, 47 investor partners. So 28 of those are coming from venture capitalists, and 19 of those are angels. And we have our venture capitalists are from different sectors and focus on different sectors. So depending on what your startup or business is, we can pair you up with a venture capitalist that fits more of your industry and your niche, so that you get the best mentorship that you can out of this experience. We're also very excited that our partners are above 28 billion in assets under management. And as part of the HUCP organization as a whole, in the past 2 years, we've been able to source 200 startups and pass these source startups onto our venture capital partners, and we will hope to do the same with any of the semifinalists and finalists of the Innovation Fund. And so HUCP, kind of talking about more of that in detail, we are 53 members who are undergrads, and we also have been, our source startups have been invested in by our investors for more than 4 million, which has been really exciting to see that our investors really take the work that we do seriously and are trying to fund the startups that we find. In terms of our network, these are just some of the people that we work with. Of course, there's a lot more, but like I said, we really try and make sure that we have a diverse portfolio of investors, so that way your needs can be met in terms of pairing you with people that might be best suited towards the mentorship that you are looking for. Kind of getting into more of the granular details in terms of the application timeline. So the written application is going to be due on October 4th at noon. Then we will move on to doing first round interviews. So these interviews will be mostly focused on getting to know your company better and really understanding how you would like to interact with HUCP and why you're applying to the Innovation Fund. Then our second round interviews will be a little bit longer, and they'll mostly focus on kind of why do you want to use HUCP specifically as a way to kind of bootstrap your startup, and how we can help you with mentorship and things that you're looking for out of this experience in the future. Then, like I said, we'll be announcing the winners of the Innovation Fund on October 15th, and then we'll invite our semifinalists and finalists back to our kickoff boot camp on October 17th and 18th. In terms of the entirety of the grant period, so the kickoff bootcamp is kind of the introduction way to get you involved with the Innovation Fund, but we'll be scheduling more fireside chats and office hours, as well as more workshops throughout the grant period. So the grant period typically lasts 3 months, so your kind of graduation will be more towards January. But in between then, we have both informal check-ins where you'll be in contact with the Innovation Fund directors, and more formal get-togethers where you'll be meeting with your cohort and get a chance to interact with them more as well. And so these more formal venues will be happening during November 30th, which is also when the second half of your funds are distributed. So in terms of how we distribute funds, once you are chosen as part of the IF, you get the first half of your grant right away. And then we wait until November 30th where we do a check-in, see how much progress you've made. We kind of see if you've met some of your goals that you've laid out for us in terms of what you wanted to do in that first month, and what progress you're making towards your end goals for the grant period. And if we think that you've met that and put a lot of effort into this work and are taking it seriously, at that point, we will distribute the second half of the funds. We also have our midway check-in, which is, once again, just another formal way for us to communicate with you and make sure that you're receiving the mentorship that you'd like. And the midpoint check-in is also when we look in more details about what our relationship with you is going to be like after the Innovation Fund. We really care about long-term relationships with the startups that we source, and really want to make sure that you're going to continue to receive this mentorship and support that you need even after your formal time with the Innovation Fund is over. In terms of the Innovation Fund graduation, we'll be hosting a demo day where we'll invite back our investors and open it up to the general Harvard public. And this will be held around mid-January, and more details will be, we'll talk about more details once we get closer to that date. And of course, it'll be like a virtual kind of a place for you to pitch your startup to the investors and maybe give a little demo of either your product or some of the things that you're working on. Yeah, so we're super excited for you all to apply. Like I said, the applications are going to be due this Sunday at noon. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at fund@harvardcap.org, and our application link is there. I'd now love to open it up to any questions that you might have. So yeah, you can just either type your question in the chat, or if you'd like to just raise your virtual hand, that would be great. I'd love to answer any questions.
Hi, so I just had a quick question about the team aspect of what you guys are looking for in applications. So I think for the idea that I have that I'm thinking of applying for the fund for, it was something that I worked on pretty individually. And so I was wondering, like, when you say team, is it that you expect like many people to be on the team, or can it be just an idea that you have founded yourself and perhaps like as you progress with it, more people might be added on?
Yeah, so we're really open to just having like single founders. We don't expect you to have a full-fledged team, but if that's something that you're interested in, one of the things that HUCP's Innovation Fund will also do is to help connect you with people to add on to your team at later points. So the section in the application that talks about the team is just for people who might already have that, but it's in no way required.
Gotcha, thank you.
And Joshua, I saw that you had your virtual hand up.
Yeah, it did. Thank you. By the way, really great presentation. Straight to the point, very clear. I just have one other question. Is this also available to, if you're an alumni, do you have to be a full-time student to be a part?
No, yeah, so it's anyone Harvard affiliated, so anyone that's part of the grad school's alumni or a current undergrad. So yeah, as long as you're affiliated with Harvard in some way, that's fine.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah. Mohammed? Mohammed, I'm not sure if you're trying to speak, but your mic is muted, so.
Oh, hi, sorry, my mic was muted. Yeah, I had two questions. One, the available funds that you mentioned earlier, like the equity-free grants and the AWS credits, is that what's going to be shared by all accepted finalists, or is it like per finalist? And the second question is, on the part of team, what's the policy on, let's say, having team members who are like, let's say, MIT students or from other schools, me, myself, being a Harvard student?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the AWS credits, that's per startup that wins. So any startup that wins will get like 10,000 of their own individual AWS credits plus an additional 1.5K in business credits as well. But that's just for themselves. It's not shared. And then in terms of other team members, all we ask is that one of the co-founders is Harvard affiliated. But if the other founders or team members are from other schools, that's totally fine as long as you have one person that's Harvard affiliated.
And then when you apply, is it like you apply for all the three things you offer? Because you mentioned the 5K equity free grants, the mentorship, and the AWS credits. Do you apply for all three, or do you apply for?
Yeah, so you just if as long as you win, then you get access to all three. So you kind of just, the only thing that we ask you to outline is like how much in terms of the grant you're specifically applying for. But then as we do the interview process, we kind of get a better sense of who we're going to match you up with in terms of mentorship down the line. So technically you're just like applying for the one thing.
Question here.
Yeah, sure.
So for the interview process, let's say you have a co-founding team of 4 people. Would you expect the entire team to be there for each subsequent round of interviews, or is it fine to have maybe 1 or 2 representatives?
So in the first part of the first round of interviews, it's okay if there's just 1 or like 2, or like if you'd like to bring all 4, like we don't have any objection to that. But then towards the second round interviews, it would be preferred if you can get as many people as part of the team as there. But if you can't, we understand that like COVID has caused like difficult times for people. So if you can only get the 1 founder, that's fine.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, I see a question in the chat. So we don't expect anyone to have any like prior level of funding in terms of if you're applying to the innovation fund. So if you have 0 funding, that's fine. But also if you have like even more than 100K, like that's fine too. What we end up doing usually is like splitting people into like various groups based on like funding and just like the industry that you're in and judge mostly, like I said, on the idea, the team, and the milestones in terms of kind of what we're judging on. So we don't really look at, it's just helpful for us in the application question to get a sense of what funding that you received, but that doesn't have that much impact on whether you're selected or not. And I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, but Jessica?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for the presentation. Very clear. I have a question. You mentioned in the beginning that the program is open for both nonprofit and for-profit, but that it's quite VC heavy, as what I get from your explanation. Could you elaborate a little bit on how you evaluate the nonprofits differently and how you see the relationship going forward after the program, as well as that will obviously be a little bit different than the for-profit ones?
Sure. So like I said, like we do have our angel investors as well. And some of them, which we've worked with, also have ties to like running nonprofits and nonprofit experience. So it's most likely that we would pair you up with more of the angel investors rather than the VCs. And in terms of how to help like after the grant period is over, we are definitely here to support you in any way. So like getting the word out and pubbing, like marketing to like the general Harvard audience and even the colleges that we're affiliated beyond that. So HUCP is actually also affiliated with MIT, Princeton, UPenn, and Northeastern. So we have chapters there. And so thanks to like the large audience and the network that we've built, we'd be able to kind of make sure that if you are looking for people to hire or want to get the word out, we'll try and support you in any way we can. And like I said, this is something, that relationship aspect is something that we really try to work on during the second round interview and throughout the grant period process. And it's very case by case basis, but we'll do everything that we can to support you because we consider you as one of our own.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? Joshua, yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So my other question is, you say you get into the program and you get the funding. Do you have to set up an account for the startup, like a business account for the startup? Or how does the money, will that be allocated? What will need to be done for that?
Yeah, sure. So that's something that we tend to work with founders on, like on a case-by-case basis, again, once they're selected. Like last year, we ended up just like PayPaling it to people or just like, direct, wire transfer to people through their individual accounts. But what we're trying to do right now is actually set up a partnership with some companies that will kind of allow you, and some like lawyers who will make the process for setting up business accounts easier. So that's something that we're trying to work on towards now to make the process easier for you too. But like I said, HUCP like understands that, you know, early stage startups don't have a lot under their belt. And so we try to be as flexible as we can in any way. So we'll be willing to work with you on what's most feasible.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else I can help with?
Really great job presenting, by the way.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, so if there's any other questions that you guys have that come up later on, please feel free to reach out to the email. Like I said, we'll be on it a lot and we'll respond very quickly because we know that people have lots of questions. But thank you again for coming. Good luck with the application and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.